Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday to all of you. And a request, a friend of mine asked me to do a video on this one on secular dems, and I will have some links down below. An interview with a girl named Sarah Levin on what they want for the country, basically secularism. You know, the separation of church and state, even though the separation of church and state is nowhere in the Constitution. Zero. It's a translation of some stupid leftists trying to get rid of God out of this country. Now, what would it look like? Secular government where there's no God involved. Well, we have plenty of history of it. I mean, go look what Nazi Germany was like when they went from being pretty much a Christian society, although dominated by Catholics, to worshiping Hitler himself. And you saw how that ended. Him invading other countries. And eventually the defeat and realignment of Europe altogether. And the formation of the old Soviet Union. And we saw how the Soviet Union was. It was a socialistic government taking a step further with an atheistic point of view, with the God being the government. And we saw what 70 years of mismanagement did to that country. Now, whether you like Putin or not, it has taken him some time to reverse the damage from all those years. I mean, for many years, the birth rate of the Soviet Union was declining because people weren't having kids because they couldn't afford to have kids, because everything was too expensive. Your money was worth nothing on the open market. And who wants to raise kids in a depressive society like that? You also take away the fact that Joseph Stalin imprisoned many people in the gulags and killed anyone who dare spoke against him. In fact, Joseph Stalin was so brutal that when he had the census takers go out and do a census of why we're having trouble getting people, they came back and told him, well, you killed too many people. So what did Joseph Stalin do? He had the census takers shot and killed. We're seeing other forms of it around the world. China, where they're tolerant of Christianity, but they keep a close eye on it. Now, the only difference between China and the old Soviet Union is they learned from the old Soviet Union and had to go to a more form of capitalistic government so they wouldn't collapse. Now, the government decides who's going to be a millionaire and who's going to be a billionaire. As long as that company stays afloat, they'll be taken care of. As long as they don't speak against the government, they'll be left alone. Now we can go to some other extremes. Haiti. You look what's going on in Haiti right now. A country that got their independence from France, but pretty much made voodoo the national religion. And I don't think we have to say much about how Haiti has done since they had the voodoo religion as a central part of their life. They are a mess. People say, well, that's a different form of capitalism. Yeah, but capitalism without law and order and without morale that comes from God will never work either. Right now, you got our own Democrat government, Democrat Party, calling for the ousting of the Haitian government. Things are so bad over there. You got warlords and drug lords who've taken control of that country. And then you look at the country next door to them, the Dominican Republic. Although they're not a first world nation, you see when they have God in their country, and Christianity is big in Dominican Republic. Again, the Catholics do, but it's still there. The same island, you see the difference. Law and order. Haitians trying to constantly come over their border the way the Mexicans try to come over our border. Cuba, right now, Things have gotten so bad in Cuba, the people are starting to uprise also. Something you don't see in the media either. And there's nothing but disasters. Now, there are other ways the devil will get you. I'll give you an example. Uruguay, beautiful country in South America, right on the ocean, small little country, where 55% of the people are non-religious. They're pretty much atheist. They are a stable country economically. They do have a pretty decent standard of living over there. But also what they don't tell you is the suicide rate is high over there. Because when you don't have that, when you don't have Jesus in your country, or God, someone to look up to, that's going to be a void that just cannot be replaced. Singapore, another very beautiful, developed country. But most of their country fall under Buddhism and non-religious. I think 50% of their people there are Christians. And you have a small section that are Hindus, and I think they call it Taoism. Now, I already said, as long as you keep Jesus out of your heart, in a country like that, hey, listen, the forces of evil will give you a high standard of living. Just as long as you burn in hell when you die and you're facing the wrath of God in the great white throne room. Now, how do the forces of evil act when you're the number one country of Christianity world and you're the biggest exporter of it? Well, take the United States right now. Look what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to invade our border with a bunch of demons. And I said it, criminal demons. You see the amount of school shootings going up. You see how bad these inner cities have gotten. And overall society being deteriorated. Go look at the videos on TikTok or YouTube on how Gen Z is doing, how they feel, how they're all depressed, how they feel hopeless. You can go over YouTube and TikTok and watch these videos, as well as Instagram. The Gen Z generation, due to not having Jesus in their school system, pushing Jesus out, high inflation, high debt, have a huge sense of being hopeless. Suicide is high among them. Antidepressants and all kinds of psych medication are high among this age group. Women in their 30s who are feminist, Gen Y, who are single or single mothers, high on antidepressants. Feminists in their 40s who think they know better than Jesus are feeling alone, depressed, and desperate. We see what feminism has done to our society, how it has destroyed men, women, and the nuclear family. And there's your secular society, everyone. It can come in different forms. You get the extreme versions like you do in Haiti, Cuba, the Soviet Union. Then you get your well-developed countries like, Singapore, China to a certain extent. But in the end, what does it mean when you gotta face your creator? And then you see what happens here in the United States. School shootings before 1997, we had Jonesboro and Columbine, were unheard of. Students assaulting teachers was unheard of. The amount of rioting and looting we're seeing now, although we did have some, was not as rampant as it is now. What happens when you go to a secular society? Your leaders are godless. Your judges are godless. You see what they're doing to Donald Trump illegally, trying to take away his property. How criminals go free right now as innocent people get arrested for defending themselves against the very criminals. And you just gotta say to yourself, as election season comes up here in the United States, do you really want another 4 years of this? Now, some people say, well, Donald Trump is not exactly the shining example of Christianity. Well, if you go by his past life, he certainly isn't. I mean, the guy was adulterer how many times? How many wives did he have? I get it. But whether you like it or not, Donald Trump is doing more to defend Christianity, Christian policies, and strong conservative constitutional values more than any president we've probably had since probably Ronald Reagan. And maybe even more than him right now, because Ronald Reagan didn't face the pressing issues that Trump is, personally and as far as the country goes. I'll have the links down below in the description box. Keep the country in prayer. Jesus Christ is still king, and we'll talk to you later.